Good evening and welcome everyone. So first of all, I would like to ask you a question. So any one of you here that you have never experienced any, you have never faced any difficulties in life and no problem at all, and those that never have any problems in life and no difficulties, they don't have to face any difficulties in life, please put up your hand. No one, isn't it? And sometimes we tend to compete, isn't it? Oh, my problem is bigger than yours. Yours problem is, not as, I have more difficulties than you do. But actually we all have, isn't it, problems in life. And just recently when I was in Singapore and someone said, as a lay people, it's quite difficult to let go. I think as a monastic, it's easier. Then I tried to tell him, I said, whether you are in lay life or you're in monastic life, we have to go through difficulties. Doesn't mean that you become a nun, then your life is easier. No, that is part of life, that we having problems is part of life, isn't it? So having problems in life is not a problem. The problem is we think that we shouldn't have problems. That's the problem, isn't it? We think that we shouldn't have problems. When we face and we not be able to, when we think that we shouldn't have problems, we not be able to look at our problem objectively. We just take it personal. We think that only me, oh, poor me, I have so much suffering, and the other people are really, having a good life, really smooth, And this is how we always think that, we always think that, only when we solve our problem, we be happy. We can never solve our problems. There's more problem come, isn't it? We solve one, we have another one. And I remind me of one of the jokes I had to share with you. It's a long joke, and it's from our Gigi Graham. So, that is Noah in 2013. They say in the year 2013, the Lord came unto Noah, who was now living in one of the countries. I don't want to mention the country names. And said, once again, the earth has become weak and overpopulated. And I see the end of flesh before me. Build another ark and save 2 of every living things along with a few good humans. He gave Noah the prince that saying that you have 6 months to build the ark before I will start the unending rain for 40 days and 40 nights. So 6 months later, the Lord looked down and saw Noah weeping in his yard, but no ark. So Noah, he roared, I'm about to start the rain. Where is the ark? He asked. So forgive me, Lord, but Noah, but things have changed. I needed a building permit. I have been arguing with the inspector about the need of a sprinkling system. My neighbor claimed that I have violated the neighborhood zoning laws by building the ark in my yard. And exceeding the height limitation, we had to go to the Development Appeal Board for a decision. Then the Hydro one demanded a bond by posting for the future cost of moving power lines and others overhead obstruction to clear the passage for the ark's move to the sea. I told them that the sea would be coming to us, but they would hear nothing of it. Getting the wood was another problem. There's a ban on cutting local trees in order to save the spot owl. I tried to convince the environmentalists that I needed the wood to save the owls, but no go. When I started gathering the animals, an animal rights group sued me. They insisted that I was confining wild animals against their will. They argued the accommodations was too restrictive, and it was cruel and inhumane to put so many animals in a confined space. Then the Minister of the Environment ruled that I couldn't build the art until they conducted an environmental impact study on your proposed flood. I'm still trying to resolve a complaint with the Human Rights Commission on how many minorities I'm supposed to hire for my building crew. Immigrations and naturalizations are checking the visa status of most of the people who want to work. The trade union said I can't use my sons. They insisted that I have to hire only union workers with art building experience. To make matters worse, Inland Revenue seized all my assets, claiming I'm trying to leave the country illegally with the endangered species. So forgive me, Lord, but it would take at least 10 years for me to finish this art. So certainly the sky's clear. The sun began to shine and rainbows stretched all across the sky. Noah looked up in wonder and asked, "You mean you're not going to destroy the world?" No, said the Lord. The government beats me to it. This is how in life, isn't it? We try to solve all these problems. It's always problem in life, isn't it? We can never solve all the problem. So then this is sometimes this is how we not be able to look at, that is part of life. The Buddha said, the reason why we suffer, because we don't understand life. We don't understand this is part of it. It's just like, it's a whole package. We've been born into this world that is part of the package. So no matter what we do, we're not going to get it right. It's not going to be perfect, isn't it? Because we try to make it perfect. That is a problem. And if we plan and plan, we can plan. But things is not going to go according to our plan, isn't it? It's just recently when I just came back from India pilgrimage, and everyone asked me, "How's your trip?" I said, "Oh, it's really good." I said, "It's better than I expected." I said, "It's really better than I thought," because I have no expectation. So because I expect that things is going to go wrong, because when you have that, then you have less suffering. Because we don't want, whatever we want it to be otherwise. So whatever problem we have in life, we think that we shouldn't have problem. So that is the biggest problem. So if we can't see that, that is normal. So we can only do our best. So we can, no matter what we do, it's not going to be perfect. But we try to make it perfect, and then we try to plan and plan. I heard someone, making plan of 5 years plan and 10 years plan. Yes, we can make the plan. You can have all this plan, but it's not going to turn up the way we want it to be. And when things don't go the way we want it to be, so our reaction is we blame, isn't it? Who to blame? So before we go on holidays, we have all this plan. So then we started to fantasize what is going to happen, isn't it? And then the mind go on and on expecting what is going to happen. When things doesn't turn out, then we blame others that, your fault, and we never look at that is beyond our control. Lots of things are beyond our control. We have a little bit control, but most of the time, we don't have control. Things happen according to multiple causes and conditions. Of course, we have to make a little bit of plan. For example, I'm going to India. I have to apply these visas to go to India. To make sure that my passport is not expired and things like that. We need to have that. But what is going to happen? We all don't know. So when we leave that open, then we make life easier and not to take it too seriously. Sometimes we take things too seriously. I remember when I first, when I started to give talks, I'm really concerned about. I always used to look at the comments, what people, how people react, what's the comments, But now I don't look at it, and I realize that, no matter what you said, someone will praise you, someone will criticize you. It's just impossible that everybody will praise you, isn't it? So I have no control, isn't it? Even in one of the suttas, the Buddha said, if you don't say anything, you've been criticized. You said little bit, also you've been criticized. You said a lot, also you've been criticized. So we said whether you said anything or not, people still, whatever you do. So that is part of life. Having difficulties, and then we have to solve the problem, having problem, and sometimes we think that the end of the world, because when we focus on our problem and we take it personally, so when we react to that, so we not be able to really step back to look at our problem, isn't it? To investigate the cause of the problem. Where is the problem coming from? So because of we immediately we take it, we identify this as my problem. We overwhelmed by our problem, so we not be able to sit back and look at it. This is a part of life. So the more we understand, this life, the happier we are. The reason why we suffer because we don't understand life. So this is how that when we have any problem in life, so we be able to sit back and look at it. That is normal. Of course, some people say, you have no idea how much I have gone through. We all, have a problem in life, but if we take it personally, then we not be able to really investigate, to look at where is the cause of the suffering, where is the problem coming from. So this is part of life. You cannot avoid. So the Buddha, that's why when the Buddha's enlightened, the first teaching the Buddha gave is the Four Noble Truths. When I was in Singapore, I had someone come to me. He asked a question. He's a non-Buddhist. He said that I've been looking into different religion. So, and I find that Buddhism is the most confusing religion. He said that because especially he said the Buddha talked about this Four Noble Truths. He said, I have really no idea about this first Noble Truth, what is that about? Life is suffering. Why the Buddha said life is suffering? So I said, because Buddha said life is suffering is because of we suffering because of we are not in control, but we try to control life, like grow old. You see, we cannot control being old, isn't it? Being sick, because having this body is part of that, is unavoidable. So, but we spend so much time and then energy, we try to make ourselves look young, isn't it? With all this cosmetic, all this surgery, to look young, And even though we look young, but the body still grow old, isn't it? And, eventually we still get sick, and the memories go. And it's so funny, recently I read an article, and there was a husband suing the wife for giving birth to 3 ugly children. And it's apparently that the wife has gone through this plastic surgery, and she was really ugly. So that's why she gave birth to 3 ugly children. Then, and he won the case because he said that he was being cheated. So and things like that, and this is how we create a lot of suffering for ourselves. Like we try to, that is just impossible that we don't grow old, isn't it? And we spend so much time, to try to make our body look young. We look young, not to grow old. But eventually we still sick and we still die, So then we miss out lots of fun in life. So when the Buddha said first Noble Truth, suffering doesn't mean that we should suffer. It's not. Because we don't understand suffering, that's why we suffer. When we understand suffering, we don't suffer, we suffer less. Because of the cause of the suffering, because of the expectation. Come from ourselves. What we expect of ourselves, what we expect of others, isn't it? Like for example, sometimes even to our practice, we expect, we should be, after all this year practice, my practice, should be in certain level. And then sometimes we think that, it's too difficult, how come, then we try harder. So that's why we have to start with where we at, that is the expectation of who we are, and we try to force ourselves to be someone else, isn't it? Rather than just at ease and at peace who we are. Just being oneself is already enough suffering, isn't it? We try to be someone else, and we create more suffering for ourselves. And also, it's not only that, this expectation is not only come from ourselves. We extend this to the people around us, isn't it? How we expect others, then we impose on the others, isn't it? We expect others to behave in a certain way. When they don't behave in a certain way, we got upset. We think that they are wrong, they're a terrible person. That they shouldn't behave like that. Because we expect them to behave in a certain way. We impose our views of how the person should be, how things should be. And this is how, then sometimes also because of this expectation, and leads to worries. We worry about things don't turn up the way we want it to be, isn't it? We worry about everything. We worry about that. We're going to grow old. We worry about that. We're going to lose all our property, our money. So the more we accumulated, and then we worry about how to secure our wealth, isn't it? We worry. So that's like, this is how it leads to all this, when we worry and leads to this fear, anxieties, and this is unwholesome state of mind, unwholesome qualities. When we worry and with this fear, actually this is very draining. So then this is how and then we try to make things happen the way we want it to be. We try to control. So we try to control the situation. We try to control others people. So we can't change the people around us, isn't it? And because we can only change ourselves. And this person asked me the questions that they said this Buddhism is a most confusing religion. Then and I further on I explained to him. I said Buddhism is a realized religion. So it's a religion that you have to put into practice. You have to apply it into your life. The Buddha said this is through your own direct experience, your direct knowledge. That is come from your own direct knowledge. They said in one of the suttas, Kalama suttas, the Buddha said, you don't just believe what I said. We should investigate. So that's why I said the Buddhist religion is that, and I explained to him that, for example, if I try to explain to you that if you haven't tasted a mango in your life, and I try to explain to you how a mango, I try to describe how a mango tastes like, you can never comprehend, isn't it? You can only imagine, you can never comprehend. It's all words. But this is you have to really put into, practice through your own experience, through your own direct knowledge. And that's why the Buddha said, we don't simply believe. And another question is that, that because of we've been conditioned that way, and someone tried to teach the nephew that how to that we try to accumulate things that do not bring to ultimate happiness. That is, he tried to explain to him that how the joy of letting go. When you give something, you feel happy. That kind of happiness is different. But the person said, it's difficult for him to really comprehend unless you have that experience yourself. How is it like? That's why you try to explain to that person, you can't. So I remember, like, sometimes ago when I just started to use emails, because when I was a young nun, I don't use email. I have no communication, so I don't, because now my positions that I need to have this communications, that I need to go out to teach, and I use email. So I remember the first time I received first email, and someone write there ASAP. Then it take me so long to try to figure out what is ASAP. And then this is, and then DIY. So actually Buddhism is a religion that is do it yourself. It's DIY. You have to do it yourself, So no one can help you. We are very, very fortunate we have the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha's left behind this whole part of practice, the whole package. You have to bring all this package back. It's just like sometimes you go to some furniture shop, Nowadays you have all this DIY, isn't it? You have to assemble yourself. You have to bring it back. You have to assemble yourself. So you bring that back. Then make sure that you look at the instruction, isn't it? I find that sometimes I always don't look at the instruction. Sometimes I tend to shortcut. I think that it will be quicker. Then I realize actually I have to go through step from A to E, but I jump from A to E. And then I missed the middle, then I couldn't example the whole thing. So Buddhism actually is a religion that you have to really put into practice. You have to realize it yourself. This is your own wisdom. Even the Buddha's in front of you, the Buddha can't help us. Only we can help ourselves. So that's why the Buddhas, when the Buddhas teach this, give this, the first teaching, this Four Noble Truths, actually there is a way out. There is a way out. So the Buddha's very, he left behind this package. There is this Noble Four Truths. That is to practice. This is morality, cultivation of the mind, and development of the wisdom. This is your own wisdom. And the wisdom that no one can take away from you. So that's why, because it's a religion that you have to put into practice, you have to apply it in your daily life, but you cannot comprehend, you cannot understand through all the words. But you have to help yourself. No one can help us, only we can help ourselves. So I remember when before I started to meditate, and the only happiness that I know, the only options that I know is the happiness that I can get in life, that is true, going to have to get the best, good food, going to shopping, and going to hair salon to beautify myself. I think that is a happiness, that the only option that I have, because I never experienced another type of happiness. There is the happiness come from inner peace, the calm. Actually, we do not need a lot to be happy. But of course, because when he was just enlightened, so he was hesitant to teach, because he said the teaching is against the stream. Because in the world, that this is how we know, this is the only option we know to get the happiness from accumulating things, chasing after things, isn't it? This is the only happiness that we know. But we never experience the happiness that come from being kind, being gentle, being a good person, keeping the precepts, to have so being a good person, a virtuous person. Because keeping the precept actually is practicing non-violent, non-harming. So when we know for ourselves, when we have done it, we haven't done anything that causes anyone any hurt or harm, we feel good about ourselves, isn't it? When we have done something that we feel that is not quite right, it's really bothered our mind, disturb our mind. It's very difficult to be peaceful. That's why if we want to cultivate the mind, you need to have the support of you need to have the morality, the support of morality. That is to help the support to cultivate the peaceful mind. So we need to have the peaceful mind to develop this wisdom. But until we have a taste of it, we experience that, we can never comprehend that what is just like, it's just like a fish. Is a fish always in the water? And we try to explain how is it like when you're outside the water. You can never comprehend unless you do it yourself, you put into practice. Because you can never understand. Even now, I try to explain to you, unless you have that experience and you can relate to what I'm trying to say. But if not, it's very difficult. That's why I told this person, I said, it's normal that you feel, you think that it's a very confusing. If you think that you know, then it's really a problem, isn't it? If you think that you know them all, then it's really a problem. I said, it's normal that you think that it's confusing. So that's like Buddha's teaching actually is not in theory, and we don't pray to the Buddha, and the Buddha can't help us. So we cannot pray to the Buddha to ask the Buddha to help, to free us, only through our own effort. And it is possible through our own practice, our own effort. So we put into practice. So Buddhism actually is a religion that is DIY, do it yourself. So no one can help us, because when we develop this wisdom, this direct knowledge, actually no one can take it from us, isn't it? So at the end of our life, nothing we can take away with us. We have to leave everything behind. And even our wealth, that we keep accumulating things, that we think that we want securities, isn't it? We think that, this our wealth will give us happiness, as, we have so much money, so I don't have to worry about my life, So we think that they give us the securities. No guarantee, because who knows? When there's a fire, now bushfire, when the fire comes, overnight everything gone. And when there's a flood, everything gone. When there's a war, when there is a economic crisis, overnight everybody, you lose everything. There's no security, to accumulate things and try to get happiness and from accumulating things, only through giving things. The kind of happiness the Buddha encourages, the happiness that come from being a virtuous person. The happiness come from meditation. The happiness come from being a generous person, being of service, helping someone. Because this kind of happiness is not rely or dependent on something outside us. It's independent. And this kind of happiness is more fulfilling and satisfying. And this is the wholesome happiness. When this kind of wholesome happiness leads to peace and calm, stillness. So when our mind is still, and there's where there is the insight arise, isn't it? So when our mind is confused, when we confuse, so we try to solve a problem. Can we? We can't, isn't it? But if we remove ourselves from the usual situation, and we just make our mind as peaceful as we could, as calm as we could, and we got the solution. By worrying about things will not really help us. So just to make the mind as peaceful as possible. So when our mind is peaceful, when our mind is still, that we can see things as they really are. We have more clarity. So, and this kind of happiness, we cannot describe, we cannot to others people, unless you have that experience yourself. You have experienced this inner peace, inner calm yourself. If not, you can never comprehend. It's just like some people ask us, how come you nuns be happy? You have no video, you're not allowed to listen to the music, and how come you be happy? Because they cannot comprehend the other type of happiness that we experience. There is an inner peace, there's a calm, there is the contentment. Because if we don't have contentment, if we are not content with whatever we have right now, so even we get the most wonderful, fantastic things in the world, we still not happy. We still look for what is the next thing, isn't it? Until we stop that one thing, expecting something else. We want something else, we expect something else. This is not what I want. That is the cause of the suffering. And that we are very fortunate we have the package that is free. It doesn't cost you any money. All you need to do, you take this package back and you do it yourself. Okay? You make sure that you read the instruction carefully, not try to go shortcut. So this religion is a religion that is a DIY religion. You have to do it yourself. You have to put into practice, and no one can help you. So the teachers, your friends, can only give you guidance, can only support you, can give you the support. But we can't do the practice for you. We cannot walk the path for you. You have to walk yourself. You have to do it yourself. So we are very fortunate, so that make sure that you take this package back. This is the whole path of practice, the Buddha's teaching of the Noble Four Path, and you took it back and you applied it into your life. Then you can really understand. You have to really do it yourself. Then you can really understand. It's not in theory. In theory, you cannot understand. It's only words. It doesn't make any sense to you until you have the taste of the inner peace, the inner happiness. That there's religion that is to do it yourself religion. So, and we do not rely on others beings, superior. We think the superior beings to help us, to free us. No, we free ourselves. So this is a DIY religion. I offer this for your reflection. May this teaching be of benefit to all of you. So any questions or comments? Oh. So, no questions, no comments. Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
What is the package that you're referring to?
Yes, that is the Noble Four Path. That is the Buddha's. That is the first factor of the Noble Four Path is right view. Right view doesn't mean that I'm right, you are wrong. Right view is right in the context that leads us to freedom, that leads us to happiness, that leads us to liberation. That right in the context. It's not that I'm right and then we making other people wrong. And even so, for example, sometimes ago someone asked me a question that he said that the person was being humiliated that because of he keeping the 5 precepts, being a good person. People think that he's a bit silly. So he said, I'm just doing things that, So I said, it's okay. I said, as long as you know that, if you don't have to get upset with the other person if the other person think that you are silly. When we get upset, then we are holding to our views. So when we're holding to our views, we got upset, we got angry with others people, then that is not right view. So right view, that is the right understanding. right in the context that leads us to freedom. I say it's okay. Even the whole world argue with you, you don't argue with them. It's okay. Because that is because when we're holding on to our views, we think that this is right and actually it's wrong view. Because we lead to arguments. When we lead to arguments, fight, and that is not right view because they're not leading to happiness. And the second Noble Four Path is that is right intention. Because we have to have the right view, isn't it? We have some stuff like a right view actually is a wisdom aspect. Is we have some right understanding. So when we have this right understanding, our intention is the right intention, isn't it? This is how we start from the mind. The mind is a forerunner. So when we have the right view, right under wisdom, so our intention is right intention. So right intention, that is you have the intention of renunciation. You have the intention of like giving, rather than try to getting things, like giving things, Renunciation doesn't mean that you have to become monks or nuns. No, that is you give things rather than you try to get things, accumulate things. That is the right intention. And another two right intention, that is thinking of non-harming and non-violent. And this is right intention. This is right. And then the right intention, the fourth one, the third one is that is right speech. So right speech, right action, right livelihood, and this part is our morality. So that's why the Buddha divide this whole path into three, the three paths. That is morality, cultivation of the mind, and development of the wisdom. So that's the wisdom path. So that's why this path you have to have a bit of wisdom to start off with. That's why right views and right intention is the wisdom aspect. Then that is a right life, right speech, right bodily action, right livelihood, and the sixth one, right effort. Right effort, that means that the right effort, we make an effort. The four right effort the Buddha mentioned, there is when there is unwholesome thoughts arise, we not to allow these unwholesome thoughts to arise. If the unwholesome thoughts arise, you try to abandon these unwholesome thoughts. But if you can't abandon these unwholesome thoughts, we try to bring the wholesome thoughts, to replace the unwholesome thoughts with wholesome thoughts. So then we try to make these wholesome thoughts stay in our mind. Just for example, if our mind is always thinking about a lot of anger, hatred, that is unwholesome, isn't it? Then that is disturb our mind. We are not peaceful. That is unwholesome. They're not leading us happiness. So when we think of something good, we feel happy, isn't it? So then this is how. Then when we have this kind of, we train the mind, it becomes a part of ourselves, to think of because when we think of good things, so these unwholesome qualities were not easy, the defilements will not easily creep in. So that is the right effort. So right effort and right, they call it stillness, or some they translate as right concentrations and right mindfulness. So these three actually is come together. Effort, you have to make an effort to stop the mind to go further, to stop our defilements to go further. So you have to make an effort to stop. So it's not to make an effort to try to get things, but we make the effort to stop the unwholesome defilements that lead us to more suffering. So this is in the cultivation of the mind. This is in a group. That is stillness, mindfulness, and effort. And these three is come together. That is the cultivation of the mind, to cultivate a peaceful mind. These three aspects is together. And that's why it's all together is the Buddha says, this is the Noble Four Path. So I repeat against right view, right intention, right speech, right bodily actions, right livelihood, right effort, right stillness, right mindfulness. Yes, this 8 altogether is 8. So you have to take up the whole path of practice. So when you divide this, there is to have the morality, cultivation of the mind, so meditation. Because when we meditate, we become more mindful, more aware of what's happening in this moment, isn't it? So if we don't aware that what goes on, so we can't work with our defilements. We don't even know that is defilements, isn't it? So that's why you need to cultivate the mind in meditation. But we cannot just meditation itself. You know, it doesn't work. It's just we think that we just sit and meditate. No, you have to support by the morality, being a virtuous person. Because when we are a virtuous person, then we have a sense of gladness. We have non-remorse. Because that is help to support the meditation. So then when we have this peaceful mind, and that's where we develop our wisdom. So, and this is a whole path of practice. Actually, it takes time. It will not happen overnight. This whole path of practice, you have to take the whole path of practice. We cannot say, oh, I'm only just being a good person, just keep the precept and you don't meditate. If you don't meditate, because then your mind is not, you don't have the awareness and your mind is not alert. You know, because and if, of course, morality is important. Morality itself, just being a good person, is not the goal, is not an end of itself, but it's essential, it's important. We need the morality to support the peaceful mind. So being a peaceful person will also not free us from suffering, isn't it? When we meditate, yes, we peaceful. When we come up, we still suffer, isn't it? So only through the development of the wisdom, the reason why we suffer because ignorant. We can't see things as they really are. So we take things personally. We can't see that. That's why we have to cultivate the mind. We have to develop this wisdom to free us. So when I talk about unwholesome and wholesome, doesn't mean that wholesome doesn't mean that it's bad or terrible. No, unwholesome means that whatever that we do that causes us suffering, you know, that is unwholesome. So whatever action that we do causes us happiness, that is wholesome. So when we suffer, that is unwholesome. It's not that it's good or bad. So that is the Noble Four Path. This is the whole path of practice. So. Okay. So I think there's no more questions because yes, there's one more.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is it on? Yeah. I'm just trying to make a little sense this state of true happiness and peace and content. The fact that we're able to put a name on that experience or a label, does that still make that a very sensory thing and therefore a form of attachment or grasping in a subtler way to the more consumeristic happiness as opposed to a state of emptiness? Does that make sense?
Yes. It's just I try to explain that in this way. Sometimes we have to let go of the causal happiness, but we still have to hold on to because we are not there yet. You see, this is a gradual training. We cannot say, let go, we can't. So we have to let go on these unwholesome actions, the unwholesome qualities, because that's disturb the mind. That is the unwholesome quality that we have to abandon that first. That is the causal that the happiness that there is a cause of happiness. So we still hold on to that the more refined happiness, but ultimately that we have to go beyond that, even the fine happiness. Because even holding on to the happiness attached to that is also lead us to suffering. You see, but it's always better to hold to attach to wholesome things rather than to doing something that is really causes more suffering for ourselves. It's okay, because we have to understand that we have to start with where we at. We are not there yet. So we still have to hold on to something. It's just like a raft. We want to cross over the other side of the shore. So we need to make use of the raft we hold on. Only with the happy mind we can do it, isn't it? When we are too much suffering, we cannot meditate. When we are a lot of suffering, isn't it? We cannot calm our mind down. We need the happiness to do the work. We need to have the happiness to work with our defilements. So is it answer your questions? Yeah, makes sense. So any more questions or comments? So I think that's it. So remember, DIY, okay? Do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. No one can help you. And you will see the result if you really, really follow instruction.